farming is not what it was anymore. They're all being bought out by big agriculture. Soil's being ruined because we just do monoculture crops now. The art of farming is dead.
Most of the studies that show that eggs are healthy are pretty much funded by the egg industry themselves.
What about people that say that nobody's dying for an egg?
We've bred chickens to lay about 300 eggs a year. Chickens in the wild used to lay about 12 eggs a year. So we can very much compare it to us humans, how we menstruate. Once a month, we have an unfertilized egg.
If we were to label things accurately, I feel like it would sound so disgusting that people wouldn't even buy it. People don't know that honey is bees' vomit.
Yeah, bees vomit, chicken's period, cow's breast milk.
But the thing that I noticed about meat and dairy lobbyists at COP is that they're so unified. But us trying to find the good fight, we're so fragmented.
There's so much virtue signaling that exists within our spaces.
What do you mean?
People are just trying to one-up the moral Olympics. I do this better than they do this. Food is personal. Food is so many things to so many people. It's emotional. And to tell them that, hey, this is not okay, obviously you're going to face some resistance. And if I call them in rather than calling them out, if you have an allergy and if you're allergic to milk, here's how to make this.
Vegan food means that there's no direct animal cruelty involved. Instead of labeling things as vegan food, we should label it as cruelty-free food.
This is the first time I'm having my guests again on the show.
Oh my god,
I've never had
we're
anyone
the first
back
returning guests.
once.
But we were
So you're
also your
back by
first
Pop.
guests.
I feel very
We're
special.
technically my first guest. You
Yeah.
guys were my first international podcast. It wasn't the first podcast that I shot, but it was the first podcast that went out. So you guys are back by popular demand. I don't know who
There was no
requested.
demand.
There was no
Yes,
demand.
popular
There was
demand.
no
Yeah,
demand.
my popular demand. I get to call the
Nobody
shots.
asked for this.
That is true. Nobody asked for you at least, Pri. You
True.
just happened
True.
to be part of this.
Yeah,
The driver.
I was just driving past.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never had people back on. So consider
Excited.
yourself very privileged.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be back and talking all things vegan with the vegan queen.
You're giving me a lot of that. But guys, seriously, what has changed? It's been a year. It's
Has it
almost been a
already?
year.
Yeah.
We shot our first one in Jan. It is December. It's been a year. What have we done? Have we grown? What's new? What's the year been like?
I mean, a lot has changed. I think where I was at that stage was I didn't know what I wanted to do with my content and I didn't know what direction I wanted to take it in. I feel like I found that more now. I've managed to travel a lot through work and that's been fun. We had like a pop-up and a supper club in London and then I met you at New York Climate Week. I went to LA. We worked together in India. So yeah, it was a very good year and a lot of travel and hopefully more of that next year.
That's because you saw me as often as you did. That's
Every
that
single
was
place.
the summary.
And
Yeah.
I'm so glad you found a way to make this about yourself.
It's called Sustainability with Shreya and
Oh,
now with
sorry, my
Priyansh.
bad, my bad.
So yeah.
But I did love the India thing you guys did, eating all this vegan street food. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really hard. Just eating
Just
food
eating all
day.
the time.
My year. Honestly, I've grown a lot in my vegan advocacy. I've been like on a bit of a journey trying to figure out if we're actually trying to reach non-vegans with our vegan advocacy content and what's the most effective way to go about that. So in this year has been very much trying to figure out the best way to reach them and not be in the echo chamber and kind of see, okay, what do to kind of figure out if we're trying to reach non-vegans, which is the point of vegan advocacy, right? Then how do we actually create content that they're not just going to scroll right past and kind of like it's been the journey for me in learning that. And that's kind of the new direction I'm heading in as well with my content to try to figure out if the word vegan like scares them away, then I'm going to say top, places where you can eat great plant-based food versus just say top vegan spots because then a non-vegan might just not be interested. So just trying to figure out like what's the best way to go about that. And that's been my journey kind of this year.
I've learned so much this year, especially because I feel like I wasn't that vocal when I started this, and I wasn't as angry. I feel like I'm going through that phase right now where I'm like, I'm really angry and I'm mad at people that just don't get it. And I think all vegans go through this where they're angry initially and then they like kind of learn a more neutral approach, so to speak. But
it's true, especially because you've been in so many non-vegan places. You've been to like COP29, like so many events where if there's like so many non-vegans, you realize little in number we are as vegans. And going into like the non-vegan world and going to these conferences, see how little people know about veganism, about animal rights. And it's kind of very, very depressing at times, but that kind of gives us more motivation to just continue, I think. So I understand where you're coming from with the whole angry thing.
Yes and no, because I'm used to being the only one in the room, right? I'm used to being the only vegan. I'm used to being, the only person asking for vegan options or, talking about these issues because everyone seems to just brush it off, even vegetarians for that matter. I've been to so many Indian weddings that are pure vegetarian, but I wouldn't find a single option that's vegan other than fruit. Because everything's cooked in ghee. Everything's cooked fried in ghee and everything has dairy. So, I've also been in spaces like that where I'm like, okay, it's vegetarian food. I should be able to find something. But no, I'm used to feeling isolated. And I think this year has just amplified that, as you said, being in non-vegan spaces, especially like COP29, where it's a climate conference. You imagine that, forget the ethics side of things, they would at least prioritize the sustainability side of it. But all we saw at COP was, beef being at the top of every menu.
I think like when I was watching all that content coming out of COP29 about the food that was there, it was almost, it just felt like we'd taken such a big step backwards because you and I met at COP28 and we met at my food truck that was a part of a big like food truck park that was fully vegan. Right, I was one of the people that was consulting with restaurants there to put more vegan options on the menu. So like I was part of the team that where I could see how much work the others were putting into to make sure that there were enough vegan options and that there were enough good vegan options where it didn't just seem like, all right, this is a sandwich with a cucumber in it. And then to see that step go backwards and not forwards was really difficult, and it almost felt like all that work we put in was for nothing. And now it's again we've got to fight that uphill battle again because we did everything. We had carbon measurements on all our menus. We had we made a good financial case study for it as well. Like we all did pretty well. So even from a business point of view, even from a sustainability point of view, we showed that it was possible. And then after all that, to then go back to whatever the status quo is difficult. And now to worry about like, is COP30 going to be that vegan friendly? It's tough.
COP28 was supposed to top the 20. Dubai did in COP28.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
We're
totally
supposed
did
like
not. Yeah.
if we've done that and we've promised it and we've shown it to be successful, we showed that was possible and that should now become normal. I'm not saying that we're ready to go fully plant-based, but the fact of the matter is that we need to cater to more plant-based needs and make sure that there's enough options for the people that are plant-based, and just to show that plant-based food can be good and you can make money off it, because that's very important to a lot of people from a business point of view. So yeah, if anything, they should have taken it forward.
Absolutely. We got an email from UNFCCC saying that we've calculated the carbon impact of each dish, and we've made sure it's culturally inclusive, it's traditional, we honor local food, all of that. And I posted on LinkedIn about it, which also went viral, and people commented on that saying, but beef is traditional, beef is local. Wouldn't you rather eat local food rather than importing fruits and veggies from different parts of the world? And I don't understand that because I interviewed a lot of delegates at COP29 as well. And so many people, when I asked them, animal agriculture is the leading cause of greenhouse gas emissions. Do you think a climate conference should be serving meat? And people said it's a personal choice. It's it's my tradition. I grew up with it. You can't go after someone's culture. What do you guys think about people using culture as a reason to justify eating the way that we do, even if it's unsustainable?
I think it's tough because again, we're trying to tell people that there's years and years of culture that they know that they've grown up with, and that is no longer the sustainable way to do things, or that is now causing damage, because food is personal, food is cultural, food is social, food is so many things to so many people. It's emotional, right? And to tell them that, hey, this is not okay, obviously you're going to face some resistance. But there also comes a point where our food is no longer what it was when it was culturally acceptable, right? If like take India for example, we say that ghee is healthy. You got to eat ghee. It's good for your bones. It's good for your growth. It's good for all these things. Milk is not produced the same way as it was. right? Milk has so many things added to it that it just didn't before. And to then still use those same principles to an industry that isn't using the same principles is no longer sustainable. And so what I try to do as like a food creator is give people the option, right? Hey, we have there's this food that I love growing up, and it's Indian and it's cultural and it means so much to me. Here's how I made it without any of those things. And I like vegan advocacy is hard. It's really hard to get across to people. But if I can say it in a way that doesn't attack people for the way they eat, and if I call them in rather than calling them out, like, hey, if you have an allergy, if you're allergic to gluten, if you're allergic to milk, if you're intolerant, which most people are, even if they don't know it, here's how to make this. And here's how I would make it. I always center my content as this is what I want, and I've made this for me. And if you are somebody that feels like you want to eat like how I eat and you want to eat this way and you have access to these ingredients, please go ahead. But I'm not going to tell you that the way you are eating is wrong. The only way I can show that is by creating a good product, making it taste good, and that's it, right? Like options are everything. Everyone eating at our truck at COP28 was not vegan. But because those options were good, they weren't expensive, and we had people that weren't vegan come to the truck, and they were there not because they believed in climate change or whatever. Sure, they did. A lot of people did, but that's not enough. If you make a good product and that tastes good and that doesn't cost a lot, then people will choose it. If the option is good, people will choose it.
It's all about accessibility and stuff.
Exactly.
For sure.
It's accessibility. But culture is a difficult point of view because people are going to hold on to that. Tradition, culture, people are going to hold on to
But
that.
we've let go of so many things that were traditional or cultural. There were so many things like sati in India, for example. There's so many outdated practices that we've let go of. Why do we keep using culture as a shield to defend things that no longer should be justifiable, that are no longer sustainable?
Unfortunately, it's community, right? People feel the need to be a part of something. And this is how they hold on to that.
Even if it's oppressive, even if it's unjust.
Yeah. And it sucks because we see it, right? We see it in so many parts of the world where people hold on to such outdated views that aren't very inclusive because they just feel like they're part of a bigger group. And even whether they believe in it or not, it's just easy to believe in that.
But you know what I think the issue is with vegan advocacy is that in the animal rights movement, in any other rights movement, when it happens in the animal rights movement is that we're trying to not ask people to make changes like that are really personal. So it's not like we're just asking them to sign a petition to give women's right to vote or whatever. We're not asking them to change something in the government. We're actually asking them to change habits as something personal that they do 3 times a day. And that's why I think we have the most resistance in the animal rights movement, because we're literally asking people to make a big change, and then there's just going to come a lot of resistance with that, and then the culture aspect comes in and all of that for sure. But I think that's why we have just so much resistance. That's the battle we're fighting right now, is like we're actually asking people to make such a big change. And that's why when your food comes in, to show them it can be accessible, it can be easy, let's make it fun. And that's kind of the approach that we're going to have to take, because people will be very they'll see it as something very difficult to do. Where actually, if once we're all here plant-based, we're all vegan, and it's actually it's so normal right now. Like, it's a habit. So we don't even think about what we're eating. We know what we're eating, and I think it's just the initial steps that people have to take. They think are difficult, but then once they actually learn what to educate themselves, eventually they'll get there, and then it's easy. It's fun. It's a beautiful thing to be vegan.
Just to play the devil's advocate, we agree that it's a personal choice, but also on the other hand, there's so many personal choices that are legislated, that are regulated, that have laws and policies against it. But think about using fossil fuels, right? We've legislated that. We are talking about phasing out fossil fuels. It's my personal choice to buy a car that runs on fossil fuels rather than an EV.
Well, I think not enough people are educated. People know the damage fossil fuels cause. They don't know the damage
But
that
animal
agriculture
agriculture is one
cause.
of the leading causes of greenhouse gas
Right, but
emissions.
everyone is too wants to blind themselves to that fact because they want to enjoy a beef burger at McDonald's. So I think it has to do with that.
I'll give you another analogy.
Yeah.
Firecrackers, right? We know it could be my personal choice to burst firecrackers during Diwali. There are a lot of people that do it. There's a ban in India against firecrackers. Does that stop people? No, it doesn't. It harms the environment. Animals are so scared. You see these videos of dogs just hiding under couches, shivering in terror. But that doesn't stop people from doing that. So sure, it's a personal choice, but you see everyone posting about how we should stop bursting firecrackers for all good reasons, right? That's not a personal choice because it affects me, it affects somebody else, it affects the air quality in India, which is already so terrible. It's the same with food. What you're eating has a larger impact. Animal agriculture, of course, there's a victim, but at the same time, it's also highly, highly unsustainable. And those greenhouse gas emissions are affecting me and other people at the same time. How is that personal?
There's a lot of layers to this, though. I think, yes, the responsibility is on the consumer, but also the consumer is being constantly manipulated,
Brainwashed.
right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they're dumb. It's just how it is. Like we see that in so many things, just not even just food, but even in politics. Why do so many people believe in the wrong thing that you and I know as the wrong thing, but so many people don't think that? And that's, again, it's difficult because so much of us as a consumer is just manipulation. You and I are being manipulated into so many things as well, even though we think that we may be smart and
So much
intellectual.
misinformation.
Yeah,
It's
it's so
everything.
easy.
Bias in the
Yeah, things
media.
spread so
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
And you will want to believe your bias. That's confirmation bias. If you're gonna see it and it's gonna agree with you, you're gonna believe it. That's what the non-vegans will look at and say, hey, soy is bad for you, milk is good for you,
Yeah.
if you eat broccoli, you'll turn green or whatever.
Beetroot causes diabetes.
Sure.
But it's all been debunked.
Yeah. But there's
Yes.
still a lot of misinformation
Yeah,
out
but you
there,
could
and
Google, is carrot good for your eyes? And you'll get a bunch of articles.
Crazy,
and
right?
you can
Yeah.
Google, is carrot gonna make you blind? And you'll get a bunch of articles. But there's no critical thinking anymore because there's so much information. It's tough. It's tough to be a consumer these days.
But that's why we need, we need more education on the topic, I think.
We need more
to make-
educators.
Yeah.
We need more
Yeah.
people doing stuff on the internet. But it's the same thing. Like we've got educators on the other side as well.
We have
They're
massive lobbyists on the other
Yeah,
side.
I
It's
know,
not
exactly.
isn't
even
that
about
crazy?
educators. It's
Yeah.
a lot of money that's being funneled into spreading misinformation.
Unfortunately.
It's-
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call that education. It's literally who profits from it. Who profits from meat and dairy lobbies? That's a question we're asking.
It's so sad as well that all the people who are trying to do right, like, don't make money, and the people who all doing wrong, they're the ones who are profiting from it. Yeah.
And I do believe that. I think at the end of the day, people who are going to save us and people who we should be listening to are the ones that are not profiting from a crisis.
True.
Those are the ones that have the solution. And those are the people that were outside the COP29 negotiation rooms, people that were saying, we don't want carbon markets. We don't want carbon credits. We want you to phase out fossil fuels. There was no discussion about that. People saying we need to stop industrialized agriculture. The voices outside are so different from the voices inside. Because the voices outside don't profit from it. They're the ones suffering from it.
So I gave a vegan presentation at a conference I was at called Global Change Makers, and it was people from all over the world who were trying to make change in whatever area that they're doing it in, whether it's poverty, whether it's anything. So it's not just about like veganism, or it wasn't actually about veganism at all. I was the only vegan there. So I gave a presentation there, and people did ask me, one girl asked about the jobs of the farmers, etc. And it kind of comes back to your thing about the culture that people are so, like, for this change, suddenly people are worried about the jobs of farmers or this and that. But it's like, we have to look at what's right, what's sustainable, what's good. And then we can't use that as an excuse, because my answer to her was, what about the jobs at farmers? My answer was kind of like, what about the jobs of people who had video stores who went out of business when Netflix came, and started booming. So it's like, we didn't care about their jobs, and now suddenly we care about farmers' jobs because it's part of the culture, because it's more.
But also, we care about farmers' jobs.
Yeah, we do. That's what I said.
But
We
that's
can
the thing,
transition it out to
it's not even
sustainable
a transition.
farming.
Farming is not what it was anymore. They're all being bought out by big agriculture, and our soil's being ruined because we just do monoculture crops now. And so the art of farming is dead, and it continues to die. So the farmers we're trying to protect are just getting payouts from big agriculture, and they're not even surviving on it. There's not where all we have is just monoculture crops, and our soil is being depleted.
And monoculture that's grown to feed farmed animals, not to feed humans.
Mostly, yeah. And that's ruining our soil. So there's not much more farming left in our current system. So then we are trying to save the farmers.
Yeah, we can transition them out to sustainable plant-based farming and just change what they're farming.
Yeah, if we had a variety of crops that we're growing, then the soil will, we can regrow everything. But because of the way the system currently works, it's tough. And so this is in the interest of farmers. And farmers don't only have to be cattle farmers or sheep farmers. Like anyone that has a cattle farm is also growing other things. But most of that goes to the cattle.
So I read this article from Our World in Data, which says if the world adopted a plant-based diet, we would reduce global agricultural land use from 4 to 1 billion hectares. So we literally save billions of hectares of land, the amount of land used for grazing and croplands that are used to grow animal feed. So that's, as you said, we're talking about saving farmland, and that would mean better soil health, that would mean reforestation, that's the true meaning of regenerative agriculture, if you think about it.
Literally.
That's,
Exactly.
yeah, half of world's habitable land is used for agriculture. Most of it is used to raise livestock for dairy and meat. Livestock are fed from two sources: land on which the animals graze and land on which the feeding crops are grown, such as soy and cereals.
So this is if everybody went plant-based.
If the world
Yeah,
adopted a plant-based diet,
if
right?
everyone shifted to a plant-based diet, we would reduce global land use for agriculture by 75%.
It's a lot. So even if 25% go vegan, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think people really underestimate like the effect of animal agriculture on our planet.
Yeah. It does also say that cutting out beef and dairy by substituting chicken, eggs, fish, or plant-based food has a much larger impact than eliminating chicken or fish.
Say that again, sorry?
It says that cutting out beef and dairy has a much larger impact than eliminating chicken or fish.
Yeah. But even
cattle
But I
farming.
mean, yeah, but this is where we lose the intersectionality of it.
basically, to comment on that, so there's a documentary called Eating Our Way to Extinction, produced by Leonardo DiCaprio, and in it they say that like if we shift from eating beef to chicken, that it already is a greater impact for the planet, but if we shift to plant-based, then it doesn't even compare with the impact that we'll make if we take out beef and chicken. So it's kind of like to comment on what you just said.
That is a great point of like swapping between the beef and the chicken not having as much of an impact. But we lose the intersectionality of it because now we're using just one metric to measure that impact. Right? Our oceans are being depleted. And even though eating fish is a more sustainable option than eating beef, in what way? Like, how are we measuring this? Because fish farms are ruining the quality of our water. They're ruining the quality of the fish. You're not even eating the same product anymore. It's not as good for you. So yeah, even chickens, right? They're being injected with all these hormones, and they're bigger than they were, but not as much nutrition from it as you used to for a bigger chicken. They're just being inflated.
Also, they eat 9 calories to give you 1 calorie. Even the protein inefficiency is
Yeah, the
Exactly.
whole thing is so inefficient, the
So
entire food
again,
system.
it's that we lose the intersectionality when we make a blanket statement like that. And although it's true in one aspect, we lose it in the others. And I mean, there's a way of being vegan without that being sustainable also. You can be vegan and not be sustainable also. It's not, I mean, you could be a vegan pop star and ride
With
on
jets,
private
yeah,
jets.
private jets, yeah.
It's not a one side, because veganism focuses a lot on animals, show environment, but in the way of food and animals and health. Based on these three things, there's not a lot of focus on private jets, on fake leather, on a lot of things that use a lot of resources, but aren't really in the ethos of veganism. So you can still be vegan and not sustainable. Just becoming vegan is not the be all end all of sustainability.
But it's more sustainable than eating an omnivore diet.
There's a way of doing that sustainably also. I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah, okay. I get your point.
like, I wouldn't go to indigenous groups of people
But we're not
and tell them how to
targeting
eat.
them either.
Of course,
We're
I'm just
targeting the
saying.
ones that are in the grocery store.
We're not targeting anybody, but I'm just saying.
No, but those are the people we're speaking to. We're not speaking to the indigenous communities.
course.
And that's where people do get confused when they're with the non-vegans who kind of, question veganism. They say, are you going to ask those indigenous communities to change to plant-based diet? And like, we're not actually. We're asking the ones who financially are able to, buy everything in the supermarket that they want to. Then we're asking them to make the more compassionate, more sustainable choice. But I understand your point about
Yeah, you can be vegan and live in a massive
Yeah.
house and have 5 cars and a swimming pool
No, I get
and
you.
all these things.
But then it's like, what's your priority, right? With adopting a plant-based diet, whether you're doing it for the animals or whether it's for the environment, being more environmentally conscious, like it's different.
But it's all intersectional.
Yeah.
It is all connected. If we're talking strictly on the basis of sustainability, I'm just saying that just becoming vegan is not enough to be like, I'm sustainable. There needs to be like, and that's why it all goes back up to the same problems. All our problems are created by the same, capitalistic machine, imperialist machine that kind of rules over all of our choices. And it's hard. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just because we are vegan doesn't mean we're automatically sustainable.
But it's the same with being healthy, right? It's the same with the junk food vegans, and they say you're a vegan while
Yeah.
you're eating a
Yeah,
junk food burger.
exactly.
Like, yeah.
You just becoming vegan does not make you healthy. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
You
But
have
that's what I'm
to
saying. It
do
depends
it
on
right.
what you're doing for. If you're doing it for the animals, then none of the other stuff matters, right?
That's why intersectionality
Then it's just
matters.
cruelty free. It doesn't matter if it's healthy or environmentally
No,
friendly.
but
You
that's
know?
why
Yeah.
intersectionality matters. That's the point I'm trying to make is just because you went vegan for one thing shouldn't minus out the other reasons you could be vegan. And you see a lot of that on the internet because I don't talk about animal rights as much as you would, for example, because that's not where my advocacy lies. But that doesn't mean I don't care about the animals. It's just this is my focus, and these are the people I'm trying to get to.
But I love it because it's still it still saves so many animals. Do you get
Exactly.
it? You know, whether
that's
that's because it's intersectional. Yeah, okay, I get your
Wow.
point.
Ding 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 ding.
Exactly, yeah.
The educator is here.
We've done it. You can wrap it up now.
He's
I'm
made
going
his
home.
point.
I'm
No,
going home.
fair. That's exactly, correct.
But the fake leather bit though, I do have to say a lot of people think fake leather is just leather, just plastic, but they
No,
don't
there's a
understand that
lot.
animal leather also has plastic
Of course.
to process it. So people tell me, oh, I'm choosing less of the two evils because I'm using real animal leather, whatever that is. But you don't understand the amount of chemicals that go into it. You don't understand the human rights issues in the industry. You don't understand the chemicals, the pollutants, the paints the kind of paints that they're using. And it's not biodegradable. It's not like just because it comes from an animal that it's natural and it biodegrades. It doesn't because of the processing that the leather has gone through. People tell me it's a byproduct, and if we let all of these cows die and rot, what's going to happen to them? That's going to produce more methane. I'm like, no. Even if we just let them rot, that is much more sustainable than using their skin and processing it as much as we do. How do we as individuals deal with this overwhelm and deal with this empathy fatigue where we care about so many things? We care about human rights. We care about what's going on in Gaza. We care about animal injustice. We care about gender inequity, right? We care about so many of these issues. How do we, it's like a battleground of our own values. How do you navigate through this overwhelm and these crises that exist?
I mean, awareness is the first step. Just being able to make these connections, right? Like what we've just done. And like, this is connected to this. This is connected to this. This is just having that awareness already gets you to think every time you make a choice. And I am a firm believer of the burden should not be on the consumer, but the consumer can make a difference. If enough of us are making that, are voting with our dollars, with our money, we can make a change. And we're seeing that when boycotts happen, they affect share value. And companies are run based on the sole idea of profit. But the way our capitalistic society is set up is success is profit. And the second something is not profitable, we need to leave it. And we've seen that with boycotts, that people are now changing their stance on certain things because of boycotts. And that's how we can make a difference. But also the entire pressure and all of that should not be on us. But the awareness should come from us. Just because it's not on us doesn't mean we can continue being a part of the oppressive system.
True. Well spoken.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Applause.
No, I understand
love
that.
it,
It's
yeah.
just me as an individual. I find that so difficult. Consuming all of this news, it's so overwhelming because there are a lot of crimes, crisis, wars happening at the same time. But you're also in this, as you said, for intersectional reasons. And I do care about gender equity. I do care about sustainability. I do care about climate change, right? And I obviously care about the animals. And I feel like I'm fighting all of these battles at the same time, and I'm fighting them individually.
But they're
Sometimes I
all
may
one
feel like that.
battle. But they're all one battle.
Doesn't that make you feel like I don't know where to start and I don't know what I can do and I don't know how I'm helping the movement? Am I
Well,
doing enough?
This is why community matters. We keep alienating different movements because you've seen how like how you said with vegans, they're like, no, animal rights is our problem, human rights is not, because there's not enough people doing this. But if we work with the human rights people, we'll find enough companies being responsible for the same thing. If we worked with the sustainability people, it's that Venn diagram has the same few companies, people, organizations in the middle of it that are affecting it. Once we dismantle those systems of whether you call it capitalism, imperialism, patriarchy, whatever name you want to give it, it's all one thing.
What do you do when the climate change movement doesn't care about gender equity, doesn't care about animal agriculture or human
all I'm
rights?
saying is that we need to call all these people in. We need to organize together because we're all oppressed by the same machines.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I've said this before when at COP as well, when I'm in the climate space, no one is talking about how we need to end factory farming. No one is, even focusing on plant-based diets because the fights there are different. No one was talking about Palestine at COP.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
there's so many.
we're in the climate space. Nobody wants to talk about bombs being dropped. How bad that is for the climate. How many countries worth of emissions has that created? That needs to be spoken about. That is part of the same thing. The climate movement should work very closely with the the human rights movement, because it's all the same problem. And the second you start seeing it as a communal issue and not as an individualistic issue, it becomes less of a burden. Because it's like, you know about gender equity. I know about sustainability. You know about animal rights. If we work together, we'd find the same few people that are responsible for the problems that exist within our spaces, within the spaces that we advocate for. Then it becomes less of a burden. Because I know I don't have to fight this big monster by myself. I have to fight this bit of the monster. You fight this. You fight this. We all come together and we've created an intersectional coalition that now looks at everything.
But we can't even seem to agree with each other.
No, that's
Even
the thing.
within the movement, we can't seem to agree with each other. There's so many vegans that, don't agree with other vegans, with approaches, with our definition of veganism, with our advocacy. There's so many things that we've discussed here. There will be vegans fighting this as well. But the thing that I noticed about meat and dairy lobbyists at COP is that they're so unified. They're so cohesive in their approach, and that's what makes them so strong. But us trying to find the good fight, we're so fragmented. And we're just
Because
arguing with each other.
there's so much virtue signaling that exists within our spaces.
What do you mean?
Like, people are just trying to one up the moral Olympics. I do this better than they do this. And we need to let go of that ego, because the other side does not have, they all exist within the same ego. We're creating levels within us. We're saying, I care about these many groups of people, so I am better. And these people are not, or even within the same space. We are making these divides. Nobody else is. Actually, that's a lie. The corporations are making those divides. Divide and conquer has never left us. But we need to see beyond that. and stop dividing amongst ourselves. We need to go to climate conferences, call them in. We need to go to, gender equity forums, call them in. We need to go to economic forums, call them in. It's just, it's all the same issue. If we start looking at each other as, hey, this is the baseline of all our trauma and all oppression, and we're all somewhere within this line or on that spectrum, let's come together and fight this together. We could get so much work done. The only reason we can't is because they've managed to divide us into different groups, and we identify within those different groups. And the same way I said at the start, like, people are looking for community. They'll hold on to what they belong to, because it's a human instinct. We want to be a part of something bigger than us.
But then again, it's education, right? Just letting people know that the environmental impact of plant-based diet for all the people at the climate change conference, and just again
but
educating.
that's what makes me feel so isolated, because I could go to gender forums in India and there would be people who are pro-Israel that I don't agree with.
Even in the vegan rights, vegan
Yeah.
animal rights.
I could go to a vegan conference and
Yeah.
there would be people supporting companies
Yeah,
that
but eventually we have to look. We have to know that. I mean, not the pro-Israel thing, but we have to think that we all have the same goal, whether and how we get
But
there.
so do they.
What do you mean?
They have the same goal. It's just misinformed.
Yeah. But
It's not like,
in the divide and the vegan movement, it's like we
yeah,
have to realize that
I like to live on the delusion that most people are good and they care about the things that they care
even
about.
everyone, like non-vegans, everyone has.
Yeah.
Most people are good. They're trying to get
It's just
organic, but like
exactly.
whatever.
People are trying to make the right decision. It's just the wrong information has reached them.
I've been vegan 8 years, and I was almost, for the most part of it, I was quiet.
Yeah.
And this year somehow,
This
yeah,
year, somehow they put a mic in front of me.
Yeah, they
and
did.
We
who
started
is
won't
this?
shut
Yeah,
up.
and now I haven't stopped yapping since. So
Yeah, that's literally what
I
it
love
is. I'm
that.
like, I built a career or something I used to be scolded for in school. Like, here it is. Now I can keep yapping.
No, I think you're already making so much change. Like it's
wow, this became very wholesome.
yeah, no, but it's true that everything you do, it's comes from like that, from that it comes from that place, and then that in itself will reach people because you're coming from a place where you're trying to make change. So eventually, like, that will happen, whether it's a couple individuals that you've changed or like a large collective. I think in general you're making change.
I think that was the goal. That was always the goal. Even if it's 5 people that question what they buy, what they eat, question where their food comes from, or watch a documentary, because I suggested that. Even if it's 5 people, that's, to me, that's impact. We don't have to reach millions, but like, it would be great if we did, to reach the critical mass to get the movement
Which
to where it needs to go.
eventually, hopefully, we
But
will. Yeah.
I think that goes, that applies to all of us. We don't know what difference we're making. It's not quantifiable. Definitely not. We don't know how many people have turned vegan or considered switching to a plant-based diet, but we just have to keep
But
talking.
we know that.
What?
We may not know the exact number, but we know every view we get is a difference. Every view we've had is a view that wouldn't have happened. It's better than zero. Every like on our post, every comment on our post was change. Whether or not that person has turned fully vegan or not, they've interacted with media they wouldn't have otherwise. And that's difference. That's change. Slow or whatever.
I'll tell you a personal story. So I gave my first vegan presentation ever at the conference that I went to, and I was very nervous. I was like, oh my God, like, I have to tell these people about veganism. There's so much to veganism, so many different aspects. There's animals, health, environment. Like, I have so much responsibility to deliver them the right information and stuff. And I was so nervous. And I was like, kind of like, okay, I have to remind myself that not all these people who I'm speaking to have to turn vegan today because of our presentation. Like, I have to let go of this responsibility that suddenly I have to turn all these meat eaters towards veganism. And I kind of let that go, and I gave the presentation, and I had a lot of people text me after that they were very inspired. They were going vegetarian, transitioning to vegan soon. Like, I had all these messages, and I was like, oh my God, like, what I wanted like actually kind of came true and stuff. And I felt so happy that, and it's all just because like I was like, okay, let me just make it my point. I can just deliver them what I know, the information that I know, and let the seed be planted, and whatever happens. But I like, I understand your point of view and stuff as well, you're saying, but because I felt all that stress and like nervous. I was like, it's such a big, like, the message is so important. So I was like, I want to make sure I deliver it correctly. But anything we do, anything we say has that impact because it's coming from a place where, yeah,
We were all
sharing
impacted by
information.
media that reached us at the right time. We weren't born making this decision. We didn't wake up one day and think, okay, I'm vegan. You know, we all interacted with some piece of media reached us at the right time, and that change had to come from within.
Yeah,
We
for
can't
sure. The
expect
change comes
we
from
can't
within. Yeah,
expect people
that
like
we're
to
gonna
tell
turn them
people and
vegan.
turn them vegan. All we can expect is the right piece of content from us reaches the right person at the right time, where they're ready and able to make that choice. Whether it's one meal a day, one day a week a year, you know, like a month, you know, that is all we can hope for. But if we're gonna go telling people, this is why culture matters, because if you came and told me before I went vegan that the way I had to be more sustainable as somebody that considered myself sustainable was to be vegan and to let go of all these things that I know, I would not take that well.
There'll be resistance.
I made fun of all the vegans I knew then, right? But the right thing reached me at the right time, and that changed it. That's it. That's what we can hope for. And that's why we keep doing what we do in terms of media. But we can't expect to tell people how to do it. No one's gonna take that well. We're humans. We wouldn't take that well.
We have to have so much patience as vegan advocates. It's insane.
No, I don't.
But I
Because-
treat it the same way I would want to be reached. My advocacy is how I want to consume media. I don't want to be told that I'm wrong. I don't want to be told. Nobody wants to be told, right? I don't want to be told everything I know about life is wrong. That's just going to shatter a person. No one's going to take that well. You got to take the steps. You've got to package it in a way that you are able to accept it. Only then will somebody that is like you, even if it's just one person on earth, will accept it.
Well, I feel like my walls immediately go up even if someone says they're vegetarian now. Earlier, I'd be like, oh, you know, it's so nice that you're reducing your consumption of meat. It's so nice that you're doing that. But now I'm like, no, it's not enough that you're vegetarian because it's the same industry. Dairy industry is the meat industry, which is the leather industry. Like, it's all part of the same system. So I love that you two come to this with so much patience and understanding and
We
love. And
didn't always.
I'm here
But we
like,
didn't always.
just,
I didn't always. I still don't. Again, I can say all this, but this is hypothetical. We're sitting in front of a mic, blah, blah. If the wrong person says the wrong stuff to me, I'm
Oh
going
my
off.
god. You should have heard me recently with this non-vegan who told me that beetroot causes, if you're prone to diabetes, you shouldn't eat beetroot because of the sugars and stuff. Or
I mean, it is quite high in sugar. If
Yeah,
you're
but
doing like,
fruits and veggies, you cannot, there's nothing, like, fruits and veggies are life.
I get it. No, but it's
come
important. Like
on.
if you're doing just beetroot juice and there's no fiber in it, that's just sugar.
No, but he came from the same guy who said that he's not eating soy because of it's bad for men. And so it came
That's a
from that
different point.
same guy. So, but it's all that misinformation all bundled up. So
There is, but
Anyway.
misinformation always has some information. We can't dismiss it fully.
okay. But I'm sure the studies he read were all funded by the meat and dairy industry. You know
That's
what I mean?
fine. That's
So-
an assumption you're making.
No, it's not assumption. I know because he's speaking like Joe Rogan. You know, like it was like real life Joe Rogan.
Again, you know how many boxes you put this guy in already without him actually telling you that he fits these boxes.
It's just what he said.
Yeah, because of one thing. This is it. They're putting us in the exact same boxes because of one thing we say. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she's a vegan. She's a militant vegan. She's an animal rights. This thing, blah blah.
All
We get
those are true. All those things are true.
great, but like if that came from me, good. But if you're making those assumptions based on things I've said,
Yeah.
that's why we keep building this divide. Because the second you tell me something, I've already put you in 5 different boxes.
True.
Misinformation always has some information. Whether you believe the other side of it is on you, and then you have to have the patience to talk them through it and sit them down and go through those studies, or move on with your life.
okay. So I'm asking for a friend, what is the best way to do advocacy and what is the best way to continue being calm and patient, even though sometimes it's our families, right? Sometimes it's people who are so close to us. You've told them the facts a million times. You've told them how bad the dairy industry is. You've told them what goes on, how bad animal agriculture is, and they still continue to participate in those systems. I mean, they're still part of those systems and continue to support them with their money and with their consumption patterns, whatnot. What is the best way to do advocacy in those spaces, and what is the best way to dissociate yourself, especially from people who are so close to you?
It's super hard, but it's some type of acceptance that we live in a non-vegan world, and they've not made the connection we've made, where we understand the cruelty, where we understand exactly what we're supporting when we buy animal products, and because they haven't, this is why they continue to do it. So to kind of also not judge them, because that once upon a time we were them as well, right? my brother was vegan before me, and I used to like never understood why. I used to make fun of him and all this stuff. Poor Rafi.
Shout out Rafi.
Yeah. But he eventually planted the seed. 1 year after he turned vegan, I turned vegan, my mom turned vegan. So it was, and yeah, to kind of give them to kind of see it from their perspective, and then like trust that we are setting the example and showing them how it can be done, how we can live, cruelty free with compassion and choose and have wonderful plant-based food, and just to kind of do that and hope that one day they will change and follow, and be inspired. And
Yeah.
I mean, it
That's
sounds beautiful, but it's
hard,
hard.
especially when they know the facts. It's hard when you've spoken to them a billion times. You've made them watch the videos. You've sent them reels. It's hard
Then you
coming
break
to
up.
terms
No,
with that.
No,
You what?
You
break
break
up.
With your family?
No.
Oh, we're not talking about family anymore.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're talking
No,
about
no, no,
family.
no, we
I'm
can't.
talking about family,
Then you-
close friends, people you see on a daily basis.
Yeah,
that,
I
you
get
you still
it.
have that
I get
emotional
it.
connection with, but they don't buy into that one thing that you believe in. That's so strong. And this is not just about veganism. We're family with people that may vote for Trump. We're family with people that have different political views.
You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. So that's why.
What is now?
No, how
What
do
is-
I?
I don't know. I don't
That's
have
a
an
support.
answer. I
How
don't
do
have
I
an
keep-
answer.
That's okay, but that's the
but
point
that's the
I'm gonna
thing.
make.
I
now.
want to keep my family and my values, and how do I navigate that when my family doesn't have the same values?
Okay. I want to say there's no right way or best way of doing advocacy. There's just none. There's no one size fits all. And like I've been saying, everybody's going to respond to different information differently. How you present it is on you. You know all these people that are in your lives. You can package it the way you think they're going to get it. We know enough about it from different aspects, right? If I know that my friend cares about the economy or cares about health, cares about gymming, if I can make enough points about health and veganism, then that person's going to change it. If I know he doesn't care about animal rights, no matter how many videos I send him, no matter how many reels and info I send him about animals being slaughtered, it's not going to reach him. But if I can get through to him from a health perspective, from a gymming perspective, if I can show him his performance is going to be better, he's going to recover better, all that, then it'll reach him. But then I can't use the same gym analogy for my friend who doesn't care about health. Everyone is different, and we've got to, if you care about the people in your lives, and if you have the patience to want to get through to them, then you package it to them the way you think they're going to receive it best. And it shouldn't have to be in an attack. No human takes attacks well. You and I are not going to take it well. Nobody wants to be called out.
I
We
needed
can't
to
take
hear
it
that.
either.
No, it's true.
So if you're not able to take it that way, you shouldn't be giving it that way.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because we have to think what reached us back then, when we were non-vegan.
Yeah.
What is it that we cared about, and what is it?
It wasn't
reached us, and
because some activist covered in blood pointed their finger at me and said, "You are doing this." That
then
wouldn't-
maybe so for some people,
Yeah,
maybe, but not.
again, this is about myself. Like that would not work for me. I would walk past those and be like,
How impactful is social media, and what difference do you think we're making with that anyway? I'll give you the example of All Eyes on Rafa. There was a story that went viral. I think it had like 3 million, 4 million reposts. And I know people who don't have the same stance on what's going on that also reposted it. And that was the only time they ever spoke about it. As you said, it was sanitized version of it. It was an AI generated image. It was everywhere. But I also know these are the people that have different opinions. What are we doing when we're reposting stories? What are we doing when, we're telling people, hey, you care about this, but you don't care about that? And is us talking about these issues on social media, is that doing anything to the bigger issues at hand?
context matters. I think that All Eyes on Rafa story was equivalent to the Blackout Tuesday or Blackout Friday or Blackout Day, whatever
It
day
was
that
Tuesday, I
was.
think.
Yeah, Tuesday. Sorry.
saw
I
re-
remember. I woke up.
I saw
I woke up
recently
and
on
did my
I was-
Tuesday routine.
I was talking to someone's Instagram and they had the Blackout Tuesday.
Wow.
So
So they're out, right? Like you just blocked them instantly. But it did the same thing. It's virtue signaling. It's like, hey, I care about this, but not enough to actually do something about it. just enough to be a part of a bigger group so that I don't get called out. And my job is now done. I have now, if I did Blackout Tuesday, I've told you I'm not a racist, but that's where my advocacy ends. If I've done All Rise on Rafah, that means I care about humans not dying, but that's the end of my advocacy. That is not enough. But social media is a strong platform. Just because people that do that exist doesn't mean people that don't do that don't exist. I follow so many activists that make such engaging content. And I'm learning so much about things that I thought I knew everything about.
Yeah. Social media is so great. It's so powerful.
There's never enough information and there's never enough perspectives on things. And people find creative ways to get through different information. I will use food to talk about a genocide. You will use animal rights to talk about a genocide. You will use sustainability. There's so many different ways to talk about the same things to reach different people who care about these things. Everything is political. All systems of oppression are linked. Social media helps reach the most amount of people.
I think so. I love being a content creator is the best because social media, everyone in the world is on social media right now. So you have a chance to reach the masses through, if Instagram picks up your algorithm, you're going to reach so many people. If Instagram algorithm picks up your reel, then you'll reach so many people. And I think that's why it's so powerful because you can reach the masses with.
And the only reason we know how bad this genocide is versus any other genocide on earth is because of social media.
2024, yeah.
Because so many people were risking their lives filming their day-to-day life.
We're not dependent anymore on the media,
news,
who is biased and who will, put a different headline.
Also for us to know which companies are supporting and funding it.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of that information I get that from social media.
New York
Exactly.
Times. Yeah.
Okay. Should I name all? We could be here for all.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you see that as a lever for change?
Yes, I mean,
because so many people would
it's
just
the
question
hope you have to have. Otherwise, everything we do is for nothing. If we don't have that hope that it reaches the right people at the right time, then then everything we do is a waste.
I don't have anything to add.
No, there you go. Speechless.
That's a second mic drop for me. Ding, ding, ding. All my points. Okay, you win.
There was no wait. What? I could have won
this episode.
I could have won.
You don't win anything except you get a dedicated reel cut. That's yours.
I'm tired of media.
That's presence for social media.
Farah, do you want to talk about your love life?
You could talk about your love life.
I've been dating a lot of non-vegans, so
Growth. because this was not on the last podcast.
No,
she was like, I would never.
Remember, she said
never
she wanted to build a table.
Yeah, she wanted to build
We
a
had that
table.
conversation where you would have multiple partners. I remember that.
I remember I was
typo.
outnumbered on that podcast as you both would not date a non-vegan.
yeah,
And I was
true.
like, I would, we would,
That's
blah, blah.
true.
Growth.
I've changed
Here
my
I'm
views about that
going.
as well. I think I would date someone
Guys,
a veg.
look at the impact I'm having.
Wow.
On just this
And
table.
now
date a non-vegan?
he made it all about himself now. On my podcast, he made it all about himself.
But
I'm
wait,
not,
wait.
this
is
Don't
just the
clarify.
point
Did
I
she just
made.
say she would date a non-vegan?
I would if I think he would have to be vegetarian. I don't think I'm dating a non-vegetarian guy.
You know what's
I'll make
happening?
that
Maybe
clear.
this is not growth. Maybe we're just lowering the bar.
We haven't found anyone.
No, we're just-
There's no one out there who's not
We're like, you know what?
who is vegan
You know
and
what?
fits all my
This is like
criteria.
when you keep opening the fridge, it's not like nothing new's coming. You're just your bar is low. You're just like, all right, do I feel like I want something in this now?
Yeah.
Fine, I'll
we
just
can
take it.
turn them vegan. That's the beauty.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
That's
I've
the
realized. I
beauty.
agree with what he said the first time, which is I think I would date a non-vegan
Yeah.
to eventually hope that they would understand my
Yeah.
POV.
And they have to be a little bit vegan friendly. I wouldn't date the person who talked about soy being bad. I wouldn't date him.
Was
Sorry.
that somebody you would have
No.
you were thinking of dating
No,
before
no.
that conversation?
Yes.
I was just we were on a double date, so he wasn't my
Oh.
date.
Oh, he wasn't.
He wasn't my date.
Thank God.
My date was very vegan friendly.
You'd hope so.
Because that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't be like if that because that comes with such a different mindset. Like, he's completely already brainwashed, and like, there's no way I would be wanting to spend my time with someone.
Again, you've made the assumption. He's completely already brainwashed. There's no saving him.
No, because
That's it. It's
because
done.
if I'm dating someone, they have to be vegan friendly, have to be open minded.
But if they've never
me.
met one, you have to listen to me. See, there we go.
There we go. Be
There we go.
receptive to what I'm saying.
I get it. But if they've never been exposed to a vegan, they're gonna listen to
Yeah.
everything they think they know about vegans.
Yeah.
And if you prove them right by being like, I'm not gonna talk to you because I'm.
But there'd be so much debating in the relationship.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, we debate for a
Okay.
living,
Yeah,
Farah.
whatever.
Like, that's what we do.
I'm not
Every
telling you
conversation.
to date him.
That's my
By
career,
the way.
and my personal
Yeah.
should be like a
No.
little bit.
No, I get
That
it.
you
but
signed
I
up for
think
that.
exposure makes such a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
You can.
I'll
I
go
can
on many
say.
more
I
double
can.
days, but
I can
not
make an
days.
assumption about a specific group of people having never met them.
Hmm.
But once I'm exposed to them, I should be open to changing that assumption that I've made.
I didn't listen to
Yes,
it.
it's fine. I saw.
I
I
was
saw.
zoned
No, I
out.
saw the loading in your eyes. I saw your eyes buffer.
The buffering.
Yeah, I saw it.
I was like, what did you just say?
No, it's fine.
It was
I'm
too,
not
it was
repeating
too
it.
intellectual.
Yeah,
It was too
it wasn't even.
intellectual.
I think it's like the least intellectual thing I've said today.
Okay, so Priya would date a non-vegan. He said that last time.
Hmm.
I'm currently dating non-vegans.
I would date
not
a
at the same
non-vegan.
time, but yeah,
I think I've reached that point where I would date a non-vegan.
but
Yeah.
not marry.
I mean,
Yeah.
She's reached that point also. We're like,
maybe.
when we do this podcast next year,
I'm married to.
it's like, by the way, guys, I'm marrying a non-vegan.
no.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But my wedding would have to be vegan. And my kids would have to be
Yeah.
vegan. If I have children, that is.
100%.
If you have a wedding, that is.
100%.
Wow.
No, I thought we were.
That was such a roast.
No, that wasn't meant to be. I thought it was just the.
It's okay, it's
fine.
recorded.
You said that about
We
kids.
forgive
It's
you.
recorded. No,
Oh,
it's
because the
recorded.
wedding's first and then kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he means.
Oh, really?
chronologically.
One
She
in
said
that order.
kids if that happens, and I'm like, yeah, and the wedding if it
if that
happens.
Yes, I first said the wedding, and then
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
sorry,
I said
bad,
my,
bad.
Okay.
Wedding
yes,
would
here
have to
for
be
it, here
vegan.
for
My
all of
bad.
it.
It's not.
and then I
even
said my kids would have to be vegan
But
if
it
I
makes
have
sense
kids.
you have a vegan wedding because every every birthday party of mine is fully vegan. So it
Yeah.
makes sense. Like,
It's not the same thing.
yeah,
I
I feel like it's an
I fear it's not
event.
the same thing.
But there's so many people have said that too, and they're like, we're not gonna come to your wedding.
Oh,
We're not gonna show up because
But
I
I
need
get
my
that.
masala chai.
really?
No, I get that because I said that my wedding's gonna be vegan and also no alcohol.
Oh, okay.
And see,
I
we're
like
losing
it. I like
people.
it. No, I like
No,
it.
but we can
I-
have
I
a
don't even
mocktail
drink.
bar. We can have
I
a
love
cool
it. I'm
bartender
here for
making
it.
I like that.
mocktails. I want
Matcha?
people to sure. I want people to like wake up not feeling like crap the next day.
Nice.
We should be 3 days
I
in a
love
row.
it.
Everyone back to back to back. Nobody should look like they're hungover. Nobody should be wearing sunglasses at like breakfast because they can't even keep their eyes open. But I have people saying that they won't come. They will come. You're not gonna come to a wedding. Let's be so for real.
No,
I've been to
sure.
vegetarian weddings. I've been to Jain weddings. Like
Yeah.
the food is fully Jain.
Listen,
The food, if the food is good, nobody's gonna care.
Did
Yeah.
you see this meme of this vegan woman who disinvited all meat eaters from her vegan?
Yeah, I saw that.
I was
I would
like-
have known. I would just
like,
have you
lol.
three attending my wedding.
This is actually it's
See,
now.
and-
The guy-
And not even the guy because he's not vegan. You know, I'm
That's
like, I'm
true.
done.
and not even her guy, and not even my whoever I'll be dating.
That's so funny.
That's it.
But
We're
that's a little bit. I wouldn't take it that far and disinvite meat eaters because a lot of people eat meat. So
That's it. That's how you make change.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
exactly.
give them good
Invite them to a vegan
options.
wedding. Show them how amazing it is. Vegan cake, everything. They won't even taste the freaking
Yeah,
difference.
yeah. You came
know?
to my matcha thing at my
Yeah.
birthday,
Yeah, it was all vegan.
and all the food that we had like
was
vegan croissants
amazing.
and a vegan cake and
Mm.
all these vegan
Yes.
snacks, and there were like 3 vegans there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We were actually not. We were in the minority at your party.
We usually are the minority at my
Yeah.
parties, but that's where
Everywhere.
you can make the change. If I only invite vegans and I feed them vegan food, they already know they're already
That's
part of
true.
my gang.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they get it.
exactly.
They get it. I'm not changing their lives.
Maybe you
Their
are with
lives
your
have been
food.
changed. I'm sure.
Do you still get this tofu versus paneer argument in your like
I will
comments
get it
or in your...
for till the day I die.
What's the tofu
I'm taking
versus
it to my
paneer argument?
grave.
So obviously paneer is such a household staple in India, right?
Yeah.
And people use that as a source of protein. People consume that about 3 times a day. So paneer is
Wow.
very sacred, even for vegetarians, especially
Yeah.
for vegetarians and gens. Like I'll give up everything, but I won't give up paneer. I won't give up
Yogurt.
Ghee.
Yogurt's big.
yeah, dahi. So
Curd, yeah.
paneer, ghee, and dahi are like 3 things that would come up all the time. But paneer especially because they're a source of protein. Everyone even gym trainers recommend it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
paneer has a
Consumer.
direct like competition towards soy, so towards tofu.
Mm,
It's
Yeah.
because of
it's
its
it's
texture
comparable.
and
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
it's like the same because I would use soy to substitute paneer in dishes.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
Give me-
I'll never stop getting it.
Why is tofu better than paneer?
I'll give you reasons why I think tofu is the better option than paneer. Tofu has more calcium, more potassium, more iron, fewer calories,
No cholesterol.
no cholesterol, almost the same amount of protein. I would pick tofu.
Yes.
And people say it tastes bad.
You just don't know how to make it. Guys,
Exactly.
don't come to me and tell me tofu tastes bad. Not to me.
Not to the tofu.
The
king.
tofu king.
I have a whole
true.
account dedicated
Yeah.
just to tofu recipes. You can't tell me it tastes bad and that you can only do one thing with it. Because we've shown you that you can do so many things with it.
Yeah. They don't know how to.
I know this.
Make
Your
tofu.
secret hack is to freeze it and then boil it.
Or just boil it. You don't even have to freeze it.
Okay. We've skipped one
Yeah.
step.
No, I love tofu. I think I eat it every day.
Yeah.
Me too.
So do I. If you were cooking for us every day. He makes a sandwich for everyone on his account except us. Has
Like
he ever made
who?
a sandwich for you?
No, the
No,
here's
who
your
am I?
other half.
Yeah, here's your half. It's for everybody.
Yeah, but
You
But
never got
we
your
need
half?
to- we never got the other
supposed to
half.
just
Maybe
settle
she
for
got
it
it
virtually.
before.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah.
Virtually.
You
We're
don't
not
even live in the
virtually.
same country.
We're not going to his supper club. I will get a refund for our tickets.
There's gonna be tofu at the supper club.
Yes.
It's all tofu, right?
No.
It's not?
2 out of 5 courses are
What's your
tofu.
favorite tofu dish? Oh, difficult question.
Yeah.
He just
my
like-
20-minute tofu, the one I posted.
His
I ate
eyes
that.
were
Yes,
buffering.
Yeah,
dude,
that's-
I made that. He posted a reel about what is it? What's the sauce? Like, would you call it teriyaki sauce? No, what do you call it?
No, it's just
Just
it's like
in soy sauce.
chili oil and
Yeah.
soy sauce and
Yeah, just a very simple tofu.
ketchup
It was
and-
so good, and I made that like 3 times in one
There
week.
you go.
Just because.
I ate it once a week or
Yeah,
twice.
so good. Everyone recommended to
Great.
grow to make that. For
I
sure.
still have to try it, but anyway. I've never made
She made it
anything.
herself. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
are welcome to
Yeah, no.
make it.
Do it yourself. as well.
I'm the princess in this trio. We've already just discussed that. So I expect to
Okay.
be cooked for.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Expect to be driven, picked up,
Yeah.
cooked for, all of those things.
No, but
I'm leaning into my feminine energy. That's
Great. Love that
I love
for you.
it. So you said that the personal trainers in India, they recommend paneer as a source of protein. They also recommend eggs so much. They're like, eat so many eggs. It's crazy. And it's like, again, the same thing what Pri just said about the difference between tofu and paneer in terms of like protein count, etc. Because tofu scramble is an amazing alternative to egg, to scrambled egg, and it also doesn't have any of the cholesterol, none of the nasty things that come with animal products. Because our bodies don't need any more cholesterol. We produce cholesterol ourselves. We don't need to eat anymore because that leads to clogged arteries, which is heart disease, etc. So we can just skip all that cholesterol that's in the animal product and skip the egg and just go for an amazing tofu scramble. I eat it literally every day. And yeah, like eggs have it's this idea that eggs are super healthy for us. And I think most of the studies that show that eggs are healthy are pretty much funded by the egg industry themselves, who kind of try to twist the narrative and say that eggs are a super healthy source of protein, but we can get the same amount of protein from tofu. So I'm always just saying,
But okay, what about people that say that nobody's dying for an egg?
what does
There's
that
no
mean?
cruelty. It's just they're laying it and it's just
yeah. No, yeah, a lot of people have the misconception. They think, chickens lay eggs anyway, so why can't we eat it? And it's a common idea now because we've bred chickens to lay about 300 eggs a year. Chickens in the wild, used to lay about 12 eggs a year. And if we go back to the actual biology of it, so why does a chicken lay an egg, right? So we can very much compare it to us humans, how we menstruate, how every once a month we have an unfertilized egg, so the lining that we shed. In that same way, chickens are in their ovulation, and and if the eggs, whether it's fertilized or not, they lay the egg anyway. And it's kind of so in that way compares to how we shed the unfertilized egg in the same way that the chickens lay an fertilized or unfertilized egg. And that's essentially what we're eating, kind of like a chicken's period, you can almost call it, just to make the comparison. And
Eggs are a chicken's period.
like essentially, yes, because it's the same, because it's comes from the menstruation discharge of a chicken. It comes from the ovulation cycle. So now that we've sped up that cycle where instead of 12 eggs a year, they lay about 300 eggs a year. So they've kind of basically on their periods every day, essentially, like they're not, and it's also very difficult for the chicken themselves because especially for the eggshell, so that takes a lot of calcium from their body. So if we look at a chicken in an egg farm, they're completely deprived of their feathers, etc. Like they look really bad because it's super labor intensive for them to lay an actual egg. I think I was making a reel the other day and I had to source footage of a close up of a chicken laying an egg, and it's like the chicken's actually struggling, like as if the chicken's like giving birth, and it takes a lot for a chicken to lay an egg, and then we just eat it just like that. We think that the chicken's laying an egg for us to eat, but actually the chicken's laying the egg because they want to sit on it, they want to have a family. They if the egg's laid, they'll go and sit on it and be all cozy and nice, but instead we take that egg for us to eat. Um, and that's just part of like just looking at if a chicken lays an egg, like why can't we eat it? But then if we go further and look at the actual egg industry, because today people are eating so many eggs. We have eggs for breakfast. It's such a common food in today's world. And then the egg industry obviously has to supply all these eggs to us consumers. And what happens is in the egg industry that only chickens can lay eggs, right? The roosters can lay eggs. So when the egg industry is trying to breed more chickens into existence, some of them will be roosters. They can't really differentiate between sexes, right? So then once these roosters, when these baby chicks, they what's the word when they out of the shell
Hatch.
hatch, thank you. So when all these baby chicks hatch from the egg, some of these are roosters, and what happens is the egg industry just separates them based on their sex. So if they're a chicken, they're gonna go into the egg industry and lay all the eggs for us, and if it's a rooster, then they're put on these conveyor belts and they end up into a live blender. So they basically get grounded up alive, and this is such a crazy concept that most people, if you tell them this, they don't know that this happens, right? It's such like a hidden, like it's a secret from the egg industry that if people knew this, that they wouldn't support eggs. And it's around, I think, a couple billion. I think it's 800 million baby chicks. I'll have to look it up actually. But it's just millions of male chicks are killed in the egg industry, and this is why that in the egg industry they kill like millions of baby chicks every year, male baby chicks. And it's kind of like if we were to take an example of a blender, or we were to put a live baby chick in a blender, like would you turn on that button? And if you wouldn't, then why are we supporting an industry that does? Because with our consumer choices, we're basically pushing that on button to ground up baby chicks, and it's such a these are the horrors, like the hidden horrors. And I think that's if people ask you why don't you eat eggs as a vegan, it's kind of like, well, all these baby chicks die. Um, Eggs are, it's like I said, the menstrual discharge of a chicken. And yeah, if we can just eat scrambled tofu and little scrambled eggs, problem solved.
Wow. I did not know as much about the egg industry as I just learned in the last like 2
Yeah.
minutes.
And it's insane the way that they see male chicks as just a waste product and they discard them as if they're not actual living beings. Human, like we love baby chicks. We see a photo of a baby chick, like how cute. And like, can you imagine that we slaughter so many million of them just on their first day of life? It's so crazy to imagine. And they kill them either by the grounding up alive or the suffocation in bags, or they gas them. It's all just horrific and such, like acts of animal cruelty. And as consumers, I don't think we know this when we buy eggs that we're supporting this. But it's so important that we start, making change and yeah, stop
That's
consuming eggs.
that's so true. If we were to label things accurately, I feel like it would sound so disgusting that people wouldn't even buy it. And we did that in a grocery store because people don't know that honey is bees' vomit.
Yeah. Bees
And
vomit, vomit, chicken's period,
eggs are chicken's
cow's
periods.
breast milk,
Exactly.
And also, I was thinking, I love this concept that instead of labeling things as vegan food, we should label it as cruelty-free food. Like that should be the new term. That like I think it would be more, like we'd actually um kind of understood more what it is. It's not just vegan. It's actually it's vegan food means that there's no cruelty, direct animal cruelty involved when we're buying vegan food. So I feel like I love that. We should just change like a petition to change vegan food to cruelty-free.
Because even whey protein, it's just a waste product. It's a byproduct of the milk industry. And somehow they decide, they ask themselves probably, how do I make profit of this waste product? And created this whole industry where, gym goers feel like they need to have whey protein.
Crazy. Vegan protein powder is so good. I love it.
Lot of misconceptions. All right. A lot of vegetarians don't eat eggs, but they consume milk, and they don't really know where milk comes from.
I think when you're looking at like milk, I think let's take for example a woman with will like take a human scenario. So we have a woman who is pregnant with a baby, has a pregnancy for 9 months. Baby is born. Then what happens is people take away the baby immediately, and we start obviously her body's producing breast milk for to feed her baby as humans do. And then the breast milk is taken away and made into cheese for us to eat, into paneer, into ghee, into butter, and this breast milk is used for all these products because it tastes good. It's fatty, we can make it into ice cream, like human breast milk ice cream. Would we ever eat that? No, I don't think so. But this is the exact thing that happens to cows. Dairy products are the product of cow's breast milk. I think we can start referring to cow's milk as baby calf growth fluid, because that's what it is. It's breast milk that the cow produces to feed her baby calf, to make the baby calf grow into a cow. Imagine, do we look like cows? You know how big cows are? And imagine that, like, that's for a calf to turn into a cow. That's what the cow's milk is used for. That will tell you enough whether it's meant for our bodies or not. Human breast milk is meant for us until infancy, and after infancy, we wean off of breast milk. And then we start consuming the breast milk of another species. And this is just, if we actually start to look at what cow's milk actually is, like, we don't drink gorilla's milk, we don't drink giraffe's milk. So we have to start, like, we're growing up with the idea that cow's milk it's so normal, it's so normalized. But if we actually look at it, why are we drinking breast milk when we could just have some oat milk, some almond milk, some soy milk that is just better for our health, better for the animals, and also for the environment, of course, as well.
Yeah. And to be artificially inseminated over and over again to be pregnant to continue producing milk.
I know. I was gonna start this saying with take a woman and then artificially inseminate her and have her baby, but it doesn't sound like a human thing to do. Like, we never do that.
Yeah.
But that's what
the
we
industry
do
does.
to cows. Yeah,
Sexually exploit bodies.
it's all the exploitation of the reproductive system. Chickens, cows. It's all the exploitation of the reproductive system.
What I'm hearing is intersectionality with feminism.
Yes.
100%.
Tied it all together.
My last question to you is about decolonization. What does decolonization mean when it comes to food systems?
I mean, again, if we go back to the intersectionality of things, colonization is just another word of the same problem, right? Decolonization is just us trying to break apart from the systems that are set up. And we use that in the context of colonialism. Now, you can call that colonialism, you can call it capitalism, you can call it imperialism, you can call it the patriarchy, you can call it all these names. When we decolonize things, it means we're taking away the systems that these colonial imperialist machines set up in our communities. Our dependency on single-use plastic, for example, came with the Industrial Revolution. Our dependency on dairy, to the extent that we have now, came from colonization and from that sort of imperial mindset that they had over there. And us breaking away from that is really us getting more in touch with our culture. Our culture did not use as much dairy in desserts, in like mithai and sweets and all these things as we did post-colonialism. That is not the truest form of us. That culture we're holding on to was a byproduct of colonialism.
Cheese and yogurt don't even come from India.
Yeah.
And most of brown people are lactose intolerant. Most white people are
Asian,
lactose intolerant.
yeah,
actually.
on Earth.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
most people in general.
exactly.
'Cause it's not
Exactly.
our milk, and we're not meant to have breast
Yeah.
milk past.
But it's just that I think in white, can I say white cultures?
Western.
Yeah, just because mostly Western cultures, they were drinking cow's milk for a longer time, so they've developed that gene more than people
It was a product of the World War. They produced all this milk for the soldiers because it was cheap and it was nutritious. And then they produced too much. They didn't know what to do with it. So then they built industries around it and then transported it to the rest of the world. And us breaking away from that is us reclaiming our culture in different ways. I'm not saying you drink milk, you are participating in colonialism. That is now become a part of our culture inherently. But we had to start imagining that our culture existed without that. And that just giving that up doesn't mean we are pushing away our culture, or that we are resisting our culture, or that we are anti India or anti culture or whatever. Just because we are giving up these things that have now somehow become the basis of our identity, which it shouldn't be.
And it's also, it should now just be the choice what's cruelty free, what's, because now it's not, it's no one has really, there's so much cruelty even with small scale farmers, and people have to start recognizing what is the reality and make choices based on that versus on culture and tradition, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. It's
The
changed
last
since then.
question I ask on this podcast is, what does sustainability mean to you?
I mean, sustainability to me, like in its own definition, is how we can keep going, right? How can we make something last long? How do we make it sustainable? And how do we get to a point where something is regenerative and comes in a circle and we're able to keep doing it for a long amount of time? To me, sustainability means we are creating systems and spaces and areas that last and that aren't short term, that aren't single use, that aren't disposable, and not in the literal sense, but in the sort of cultural sense, and that we create environments and communities that build and last long. That's it.
I think it's having respect towards the resources of our planet, kind of. And I think it's the opposite of consumerism. Is to be sustainable is just to live and with what we have, and make use of that, and just be kinder to the planet with, we're kind of just, we're acting as if we have limited resources on this planet. And I think that sustainability is the exact opposite of that, and realizing that we have limited resources and we should really treasure the ones that we have and work with them. Yeah.
Free, aka Tofu King, and Farah, thank you so much for doing this with me and for coming on this podcast a second time. And thank you for the work that you both do for people, planet, and animals, and all the things we care about. Sometimes that includes each other, maybe, if we care about each other. At times.
I don't
At
know.
times we do.
Yeah, not me.
Wow.
No, I mean,
No,
I'm not
we-
being taken care of.
Yeah, we have a group chat called Besties that he left last night just because he was being dramatic. But yeah, he still cares about us, even though he pretends not to. It's all love, and
Thank
we're
you,
not
Shreya.
fragmented.
We
We're
love
not
you,
fragmented.
and
I
we
love
love
you guys.
everything you do. So thank you too.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
get
thank
little
you. No,
flying
it's fine. I got
kisses.
it. Yeah, thanks.
You need to get one. It was recorded.
Okay, I go. Cool, thank you.
Thank you,
That's all we are
Shreya.
getting. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yay! All right, we did it. We actually managed to